Hello there and welcome to the new Tableau data visualization tutorial. And in this tutorial, we will going to produce the new dashboard or the new analysis related to the workforce pay in England. And this is the new challenge from the Makeover Monday community this week. And this is about how the different types of workforce within England is getting paid and their categorization based on male and female. So if you want to learn the different way of visualizing the same type of data as to better understand which chart is showing you more information and more insight, then this video is for you. And we will going to look at this data set. First of all, going to clean this data set a little bit, and then we will going to produce multiple visualizations where I will be showing you various tips and tricks, as well as explaining you some of the interview questions also. So spend this time with me, and I hope by the end of this video you will have a lot of information and knowledge as to how to analyze the same data with different types of visualization. And finally, at the end, it is up to us what visualization makes sense for us as per our scenario and as per our understanding of the data point, and then we can produce the dashboard or the story accordingly. So with that, let's get started. Alright, so here you have the Makeover Monday community website, which is makeovermonday.com.uk, and if you go inside here, participate datasets, you will going to find the data, which is data.world, and I'll just right click and open it in a new tab, which is opening here. And this link, which is school workforce in England, is present over here, which is about the article. It's related data sets, which is being present over here, and down there it has some more sections which shows the various different visualization of the data set. But what we need to work over here is this data set, which basically show the mean pay of the classroom, leadership and head teachers by gender in 2019. So over here, which basically indicates the different types of or different comparison between different types of pay based on the gender and the designation that they have. So down there you have the more data set as to what the location is. So location is same, location code is same, geographic level is also same, that means the one single value. And then the time period is basically over a period of 10 years if I'm not wrong, but we'll see it together. And then we have the gender, which is male and female, and there is one more which is I think uncategorized or they have not specified it. And then you have the school type, which is total state funded school. I think that's the same value you will going to have in everywhere in this column. And then you have the grade as to classroom teachers, head teachers, other leadership teachers, and then the total. There is no age category present in this column. I'm not sure why they have given it, but we can hide it in the Tableau. And then we have the average mean or the average salary for these different categories. So you can download the data by clicking over here on the download, but just need to make sure that I believe you need to log in. I am already logged in, so that's why I am able to download it. So the link is present. Also, if you want to get directly from the datasets where I have it, then you will find that link as well. Alright, so let's go into the Tableau. Alright, so here we are in Tableau, and I'll just connect on the text file. And the text file is present here, which is data school workforce in England. So as I mentioned, it has 160 rows, but what I really mentioned that it has this location code as the same value. So if I go down there, yeah, same values. So what I'll do is I'll hide this. No point in having this information, at least from visualization perspective. Not really sure if some other creative use you can figure it out for this. But location code is also same, so I'll hide this. The geographic location is also same, so I will hide that as well. 2010-11, so we will going to work with this. So gender is fine. School type, if you will see the same value which is present, if I go down there, the same value, so I'll hide that again. No point in keeping that. Age category, no point in keeping this column because all this has is the total in each of the cell value for this column. So I will again hide this. So I'm left with these four columns. So what I'll do is I need to extract the 2010-11. So what I'll extract is 2010 from here, and so on and so forth for the rest of the value up until 2019. So how do you do that? Well, very easy. I mean, it can be your interview question as well. How would you do that? So the way you will answer is by creating a calculated field. So you will click over here on the drop down and click on the create calculated field, and I will just give it a name as year, and I'll use the function which is left comma 4. So what is basically saying that from the left, that means from this side, starting from here, 1, 2, 3 and 4, extract those 4 values, and since it is consistent down there up until 2019, I will going to get the value accordingly. So what is basically saying me, so what it has is left time period comma 4, that this calculation contain errors. So let's see the error. Left is begin with the integer. Did you mean string float? So what it really means is that first of all, what I need to do is, in this scenario, again I need to convert this into a string, right? And then I can extract this without having an issue. So whenever you are facing this scenario, now in this case calculation is valid because you can extract the characters from the string values. So if you face this sort of a question in your interview or sort of a challenge in your data set, then this is your solution. And if you click OK, what you get is 2010, down there 2019. You will change from ABC, this text data type, to something which is date. And as you will change it to date, it will going to assign the date as the first of every year, or the every month for the every year, every month, based on at what level of granularity you have the data. Now we don't need this, so let's hide this. And after that, what we need is, if you see in the gender, what you have is the total. Well, I don't really like the total. Reason being is that if we add some male and female, we will going to get the total in the front end. Same is the case over here in the grade. So for that, what we need is the filters. So I'll click on filters, add filters, and first of all, from the gender, let's exclude the total. So what we have, as I mentioned you at the start of the dataset explanation, that it has some other value also other than the male and female, which is unclassified. Now it's up to us whether we want to keep it or remove it. So if you want to remove it, we can just click over here, but you need to make sure that other values which is related to the unclassified will also be removed, and the numbers will going to impact in the front end. So what we can do is we can keep it as part of this data set, but down there when we will create the visualization, we will be able to exclude it. So we'll click OK, and I'll add one more which is based on the grade, and click OK, and I'll just check the total and click on exclude and click OK. Now all the totals been removed. So now this data is ready for the usage. Another thing is this is a mean data set. That means this is the average salary based on the gender, grade and the year that you have. So since it is already pre-aggregated, finding average of an average or finding sum of an average will going to produce some not incorrect, but ethically that is not right from the calculation perspective. So what we will have, most of the visualization created is the most granular level, or maybe filtered by if that level of granularity is not present, let's say for year, then we can filter it by the year, filter it by the gender, or filter it by the grade, just to make sure that we are not aggregating, or we are not doing the average of an average, which is not the right calculation. So for that, we'll move on to the sheet 1. Now the very first thing is we may want to do is, since it is a data which is distributed over time, so we may want to see, or we may be interested in seeing the trend of the average salary over a period of time. So in that case, what we need is the average and the gender, and what I'll do is create the line, so not the gender, I want to create this calculation one, which is nothing but the year. So year and average mean, and what I'll do is create this trend line. Now what I can do is bifurcate it by the gender. So as I double click, it has by default picked up the line, this line, which is unclassified is present here. So you can click over here and click on exclude. So very clearly and very consistently one can see that the male salary, the average male salary every year is higher than the female salary. But is this the same situation in the other scenarios as well? For example, if we evaluate it by the grade, so what we can do is we can bring the grade over here on the column, right? And now you can see a sudden change altogether. So first you have the classroom teachers that has a very consistent salary, and the gap is also pretty low. If you see, there is just 1,000 pounds, if I'm not wrong. It's because in UK or in England what you have as a currency is pound, so that's the reference I am using here. So down there if you see 35,000 for male, 34,674 for female, so close to 1,000. Similarly in 2017, 36,000 for male and 35,000 for female. But if you see for the head teachers, there is a significant gap, because if I say for 2019 you got 77,000 is for male, whereas 68,000, close to 10,000 or 9,000 is basically what you have as the gap. Alright, so this is the huge gap, and then the gap is less over here. So this is a very meaningful observation, as you can see, which you can basically see it over a period of year. For different averages, we have the gender, and we also have taken the grade, and we are satisfying the requirement that we are not aggregating the data. However, it is showing you the sum of average, but even if you do sum of average instead of you may want to do the average of average, nothing will going to happen, because you are at the lowest level of granularity. And you need to keep in mind whenever such scenarios are there, either while working or when you are attending an interview. Alright, so this is the first visualization, very effective and impactful, very clearly shows you where the gap is high and the gap is low over a period of time, whether the gap is increasing or decreasing, and then what is the situation by a different gender or a different grade. Now let's move on to a different visualization. So for that, what I'll do is I will create two calculations, which is by going over here, create calculation, and I will say male salary, and I will say if gender is equals to male, then what you have is average mean, and I'll copy this, click OK, and I'll create another one which is female salary, and then over here let's put it female and click OK. So what do I have is male salary and female salary. Now what I can do is I can bring it over here. So what I'm creating is a very traditional bar chart, nothing fancy. So what do I have is the male salary, and I will change this to bar. Alright, and I will take the female salary as well over here. So by now, if you have been watching my videos, you must have guessed it, I will going to create a dual chart, because this is something very innovative in nature and find it really interesting. So if I just expand this by coming over here, and so that it is easy for you to view as well as for me. So what do I have is this chart, and this is bar, another is bar. So what I'll do is click over here on this bill, make it a dual axis. Okay, so what it is giving you is basically the female salary and male salary, and if I right click and click on synchronize axis, that way both the axes will be same. Okay, so clearly it is indicating that male salary is going ahead as compared to the female salary. But how we can make it a little bit more visually appealing? Well, let's come over here on the size and let's reduce the size of the female bar thickness or the bar chart. So this way what you have is clearly indicating where the bar chart for the female salary is ending as compared to the male. And this color is something which is pretty bright in nature. So what I'll do is for female I will let's just choose the gray, and for male maybe what we can take is this one and click apply. Now this is like a little bit more visually appealing, but what we can do is reduce this also a little bit and make it impactful. Now if we want to make it more impactful, there is one interesting trick I want to show you. Well, the trick is that you right click on the axis and move on to the added axis and then uncheck include zero. As you do that, you will see that how the visualization is changed and giving you a much better representation. Earlier it was going up until here, also fine in a way as to from the visualization perspective. However, this truly gives you a larger impact, but sometimes misleading as well. Why? Because if you see it over here, this is 2019 and close to 159, which is 159,000. Let's say the pound, and this value is 172. However, what it shows you that bar is ending over here close to midpoint or slightly ahead of midpoint, and that way give you an impression which is like female is getting half of the salary as compared to the male. So may not be a very good graph when you will show it, because will mislead your end user. However, from maybe visualization perspective, whenever the data is right and the interpretation is right, can be a useful one. So what I'll do is press the Ctrl Z a couple of times, and yeah, so this chart is far much better because it shows the true value as to where how much is the gap is, and in my view it represents a better picture. Now this is one way of presenting it. Another way is you change from bar to, let's say, circle, which is also have been seen. What I've seen is a much better representation, because bar is already, we have it over here. However, this circle represent up until what point the comparison is coming. So comparison is with the female salary. So that's why we are seeing that the point has come over here. And if it is not very visually appealing in this case, since it is just a circle, so we can go into the edit color, click on the female salary over here and check this orange and click apply. And this is like much brighter. If you want to change it a little bit, maybe I want to change it at least because it is really bright for me. And now this looks really way better because not very bright but more visually appealing. So clearly indicating that as we are moving ahead, the salaries are increasing, but it is not increasing that much as well. Still there is a gap, which is a similar gap in the salary between the male and female. Now here one thing to notice is that what we are taking is the female salary and male salary. However, what we have not taken is the grade. So either we can take the grade as a filter or as part of this visualization by pulling the grade over here and then indicating that where the classroom teacher, head teacher, and the other leadership is basically having the difference between the male and female salary, and then you can get the idea. But what I feel is it's better to have it as a filter. So what I'll do is click on show filter, because this is making the visualization busy. Otherwise, if we really want to be a part of visualization, maybe what we can do is put it over here, which clearly indicates that in case of a head teacher, as we have seen it earlier, there is a huge gap, but there is almost very less or close to no gap between the classroom teacher and relatively less gap in the other leadership teachers. So either this or you have the visualization like this. So what I'll do, the filter like this, what I'll do is remove this filter for now at least. And as this visualization makes more sense to me because I have all my values and everything present over here, but then what I can do is I can just right click over here and uncheck the show header. This way, this make my visualization much better. Another interesting visualization that we can make is the bar chart, which is the comparison of bar chart. So what do I mean by that is first let me pull the year over here and the rows, and let me pull the female salary over here. Let me put the male salary over here, and in both the cases I will take the bar chart, and as you will see, bar is changed over here and here. So what do I need? I will just double click over here and I'll put a negative sign over here, and if you would expect, this has given me the chart, which is sort of a funnel chart. And what I can do is, so this is this male and female. What I need is basically the grade over here. So I will choose as a filter and then remove everything and then try to see the different position. But now if you would see, this really is not coming along. So what do I need to do? Well, I will again right click over here on the axis, edit axis, and uncheck this, include 0, because this created a lot of mess for us and does not let the visualization reveal its true sense. So now if you would see, we are making an impact. But another problem is that you are getting the negative values over here. Even if you hover over, you will get the negative values. So what can be done? Well, you need to come over here and click on format. From the format, what do I have is the number custom, and then from the custom over here I will just remove that, and from the custom I will also remove the decimal, again come back and remove the negative sign over here. So this way I have the same values both on this side and this side, and this basically reveals that over here in 2010 and 11 continuously high, but in 2014 similar salary. But as we are moving, both the salaries are increasing with the pace, where let's say in case of a male salary, there is relatively less salary as compared to the female salary. So again, an interesting visualization that reveals some interesting information. So this is about class teacher, but if you want to head teacher, then continuously, if you would see, it is pretty much moving in the similar intensity. And then we have the other leadership. This is also moving with the similar intensity. Alright, so this is one other visualization which I wanted to show you, is something which you can create that has the impact of all these years, the male and female salary, and then the filter. So we are at the right level of granularity. Now let me create one more visualization for you, which is also pretty interesting to see the comparison over the number of years. Alright, so for this visualization, what we will going to take is the year over here, and I will take the average mean salary. So this mean salary is like this. So what I want to choose is grade, sorry, not the grade, but the gender over the path. As I put gender over the path, it shows the gender as the various different genders which is present, but it also shows the unclassified. So what I'll do is I will click over here and click on show filter and uncheck the classified. So this way we have the female and male, and it shows you the distance or where the female is starting and where the female is ending for the various different years over here. Now what we can do is we can create one more visualization like this, and instead of this gender, what we choose is the color, and we change this to circle, and again come over here and click on the dual axis. But then this looks like a very white space area. that is being reduced, that is being left out. So what we do is right click and click on edit access, use this favorite option, in uncheck the include 0, right click again, edit access, uncheck this, and what do we have is the visualization, which indicates that how the values are changing over a different period of as you could see, sort of a dumbbell chart that we usually say. We can increase the thickness from here, we can enable the labels, and we can put it in the right way. So over here in the alignment, if I put it like this in the center, maybe down there, so with the little bit of adjustment it will start showing you the right place where we can basically have these particular with the labels. That's what I wanted to say. So that's the thing, but if you want, you can have it like at the line and min max, all we have all these different options, or highlighted. If I want to highlight, then only it will show, otherwise it will not show. So a lot of different options that we can choose, but for now we can basically have it like all, and I will change the alignment to center and maybe below there. That way it will show it properly as to how the values are changing over a period of time for female and male. Along with this visualization, it will also be great to show the difference between these two values as to how the gap is. But before that, I will just make sure that I am also adding the grade as a filter, so that way it will indicate how it is for classroom teachers. As you can see, the various different gaps in different years. For the head teachers, a very consistent gap across the different years, and then the other teachers. So down there, if you see, there is a largest shift which has happened in 2019 and 2018 compared to the rest of the year, and in 2011 and 12 there was no gap altogether. So this way it makes us very visually appealing as to when we are taking the conscious decision and not taking the conscious decision. And again, it is a matter of choice that do we want all the grades and then just put the grades over here, so that it basically indicates that how do we want to show the information, where the largest gap is, where the minimum gap is, and where the relevant relatively less gap is present, or do we want to show it like a filter which is there. And if I just reduce this, because in my view this view looks like a way much better view, where we can clearly see how the values have been changing and where the values are consistent and where the relatively less change or the conscious change is happening. Alright, so let's go on to the sheet 5. Alright, so over here what we were going to do is calculate the over different years what has been the difference. So to calculate the difference, we will create a calculated field called difference, and we will say it sum of male salary minus sum of female salary. Then click OK, just so that it is coming here properly. And if you will see, a very consistent gap between the male and female salary. But if we choose the different gender as to what the gender is, because we have fixed it at the year level, so that's why it is showing you at the year. But if we change this, then it will start showing us how this basically show it or change it based on the grade. So earlier gender was not showing because we have the female and male and as separate one, and that's why there was nothing which was shown over there. So for that, what we do is we will create a sort of a bar chart, which is this. Now this bar chart is something which is not very relevant as to what I want. So what do I have is this. Let me just put the measure values over there, and I will just also put the average of 0. And what I'll do is remove female salary, male salary, this and this over here, and I will remove the aggregate difference, and I will put the, so what do we have is the measure name and the bar over here. So what I'll do is change it to the line and put the measure name over here and increase this little bit. This way what I get is the properly shaped for these two values, because difference is at the last and 0 is present here, so that is what it is coming over here. So what we get is a properly shaped these values, and it will start showing us the difference as we will filter it down. So what I'll do is right click again, edit access. Here we don't need to change anything, but I'll just remove the title over here, and if we want we can change the interval as well. So what do we do is use the grade over here, and up to us. I want to reduce this value so that I can see the impact clearly, because this was huge big area which eyes sometimes find it difficult to interpret. So in that case what I want is, let's say first for the classroom teacher. So as we can see, the difference has been very less in 2014 and 2015 and 16, and then in 2019 still we see there is a gap. What is the situation of head teachers? Very consistently the gap is present and the gap is increasing. That's not good. And then what do we have is the other leadership, where the gap has been reduced, but again in 2019 the gap the difference has become or increased. Also we can experiment it by putting the grade over here. That way it will, what we'll do is, again we will just uncheck, try to uncheck, nope. So this is fine, where it is clearly indicating how less the gap is, how huge the gap is, or relatively large the gap is. So that's one thing we can do, but up to us how do we want to use it. I think this was way much better as to show it as a filter. So we have this classroom, and we have this difference, we have this bar chart that we created, we have this type of bar chart, and this line chart as to show how big or large the gap is. But overall, if you see, the theme is to identify how huge or big the difference is in this as to the salary between the male and female. Another way of finding it is basically the percentage difference. So what do I have? Let's say for example the sheet 1. So what I can do is right click on duplicate over here. So what do we have is grade here, and we have the filter male and female over here. We have average mean, so we click over here in quick table calculation, and what do we have is the percentage difference. So if you see, the percentage difference here is for male and female relatively very less, from 0.5 to 2.9% difference, but that is for the individual category. Let's say from last year to this year what the difference is. Here in this case difference is reduced and becoming consistent, and here it was relatively very less, from -37 to it has increased. However, this chart does not reveal a lot of interesting insight. So what we can do is try removing the gender and the grade information, and overall if we see, what do we have is basically the 2.4% as the percentage of difference in an average salary from the last year. But if we go down, this is 0.5% and this is 2.47, which is close to 2.5. So from 2011 to 2019, what you have improved as an year-over-year difference is just the 2% in that case. So another way of how you may want to show and interpret the information over there. All right. Another interesting way that we may have is the in the column over here we will bring the gender over here, and we will bring the mean over here. We will click over here and exclude the unclassified and show this chart over here. Again, I will use my favorite option, going into edit axis and include 0. Clearly it will start showing you how this information for the male and female is being presented over here on this chart. And over a period of years, the gap is definitely reducing. However, always make sure that you have the particular type of grade. So in case of classroom teacher, in case of head teacher, or in case of other leadership position, how it is changing is also another impactful way of showing you the female and male comparison. Again, the only thing is what it shows you is compared to 53,000, what you have is 49,000. Does not reveal a lot of impactful, because it is unethical to show, because it looks like female is being awarded very less. That means just like 1% or 2% of male, but that's not the case. So maybe what we can do is bring the edit axis and include this, and that way it shows the right information. So there will be ways, like I earlier said, to show it meaningfully, but make sure that it is ethical in the scenario in which you are showing it. Afterwards, what we can do is bring everything into the visualization. So what do we have is, maybe we can take the vertical pane, and in vertical pane, let's say first we take the text, and text is basically based on the in UK or the England school workforce salary comparison, and 2010 to 2019. We will just increase, make sure Tableau bold, 2018 or maybe 2020. We can make it a little bit black, more black. So England workforce school comparison, school workforce salary comparison 2019 to 2020, and then we can bring in the visualization that we want over here. So let's say we may want to first show the this visualization, because it looks pretty appealing. So what I'll do is make this a floating one and put it over here, so that we have it as part of this chart. And I'll just right click and undo, right click and show header, remove that, right click, edit title, and then distance between male and female salary 2010 to 2019, apply, okay. And then what we can do is remove this because we don't need it, and then we have the option where we can select it based on how we want to see this information. The another relevant information is this, the chart which is present here. So I'll press Ctrl Z, and what we can do is we can either probably bring it over here. So what it has given us is one more, this visualization and this more. So I'll just undo everything for now, and I will bring one more the horizontal container over here, and we'll see if we can try to build this. But as you can see, it is taking the entire space. So what we may need to do a little bit is I need to delete this container and delete this. So what I need to do is put the horizontal container over here, and in the horizontal container then I need to bring in the visualization. So this is the first visualization All right, and what do we have is this male female. We don't need it. This we can make it floating over here and put it over here. We will move this to here to I'm just trying to put it in the right box, but that's okay. Then what do we have is this box as the one for difference. So what do I have is this one. So what I'll do is make it floating, and this way I can have both of this managed at the right place. So if I just bring this a little bit up and make it drop down single value list, single value drop down, yep, and that way if I just put it over here, it becomes part of the same visualization. And what I need is basically I can go over here and make it entire view, and in dashboard I just have to bring it again otherwise it will not show us completely. Alright, so what we do is we don't need this, but this way I'll just make sure that we have this apply to worksheet, selected worksheet to sheet 5 as well. So sheet 5 is this. We will just, what we can do is actual difference between male and female salary. Click OK, and over here if we go to added access, remove this title. That way what we are just trying to do is trying to make sure this and this is looking fine. So if I just go down a little bit and make it, yeah, so this is coming in comparison to this. So again, right click, hide label row, just making sure that we have the most clean information. So now if I just check anything, this will going to change. If I go in the presentation mode and put like this, it will start showing us. Now up to us how many more information or more visualization we may want to bring in, like this one. Maybe for what I can do is put it down there, if it makes sense. We always have the option of making it automatic, and that way it basically gives us more space, as you can see, right? Over here we can make it like a little bit more space for ourselves if possible. Nope. So that way up to us how we want to format it. I think this is not making a lot of sense, so what I can do is remove this completely and then make it back as the fixed size. 1800. Yep, this looks fine for now for the visualization that we have in the hand. Another dashboard or another story we can create with the help of these different visualization that we have. But for now, I'm leaving it up to you. How do you want to create it, or how do you innovatively want to use these various visualization that we have created? And you let me know what you have created, and it will be really interesting to see the what you have created, and let's see what your output is. And in the end, if you want to if you want your visualization to be evaluated by the community member, you can always put it as a hashtag datafam over there, and that way they will going to evaluate your visualization and tell whether this visualization is a meaningful and useful visualization for what you have created. So that's mainly I wanted to show you how you can create various different visualization and create this dashboard. So that's about it, and I'll meet you in the next video with a new topic.